Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. Welcome to the Tuesday CSS critique show. And I'm going to go right into the CSS critiques this morning, mainly because I am short on time today. Wanted to get this done because people had sent me some videos. And anyway, I have an appointment with the dentist and it interferes with me going full time today. So let's just get right into it. However, I do have about 30, maybe 40 minutes to take some questions after I show some of these videos, and then we can kind of take it from there. All right, so let me share my screen here and see what we are looking like. All right, so you guys see this. Let me back it up. Kicks off the wall, double arm pull. It's an okay double arm pull. Notice he didn't really get that far outside of that double arm pull. Something he could do really easy is either skip that double arm pull and go right into the stroke here. Um, now, this one's a little bit too methodical. If you notice, looks like a robot swimming. Um, that high elbow too is going to get called for sharking. That is the definition of sharking. When it looks like a shark, it's called sharking. So if anybody ever asks like, "Hey, I think I'm sharking." If it looks like this, you're sharking. Right? If you have a elbow coming out of the water, that's okay, but if it's up there above your head like this, that is what the definition of sharking is. So, would they call them on that? It really kind of depends on the instructor and their knowledge of the stroke. Um, I've always never really mind the whole sharking thing as long as this hand and wrist were in the water when it was recovering. It it was fine. But as you can see here, that hand is still in the water. Technically, it's in the water. All right, so let's break it down a little bit and let's see what we got going on. So breaststroke pull out, just okay. So top arm, bottom arm, kick one Mississippi. Yeah, see, glide is about one Mississippi. Yeah, I can't even get to two. So one Mississippi, two. So he's pulling on two. I'd like to go one Mississippi, two Mississippi, pull on three. So he's missing out on an extra Mississippi there. And then you see that was a double arm pull, which I don't recommend. This is not a underwater stroke, and it's just you're just basically getting yourself winded by staying underwater longer. My advice is because that was a really inefficient double arm pull, might as well just stay in the glide position, get that extra body length out of it by just staying in the glide position and just come up for your first stroke. Probably be at the same spot without kicking and pulling twice and wasting some oxygen, for those muscles to be able to do that. So one Mississippi, two. Yeah. So it looks like you got a little bit of a breaststroke kick with a flutter kick in between. It's not very efficient when you do it that way. Like you start off with a scissor kick and it turns into a breaststroke kick. At least from this backside, it looked like it did. So just remember the difference between a scissor kick and a breaststroke kick is you're kicking with the inside of your feet and the inside of your shins when you do a breaststroke kick, right? So the almost like you're kicking a soccer ball with the inside of your foot. So your feet are out here, you're whipping those things in. Now the scissor kick, you're kicking water with the bottom of the front foot and the top of that back foot and they come together like that, like a pair of scissors. So what's happening here is you start off like you're going to do a scissor kick, but then all of a sudden your feet turn in together like you're doing a breaststroke kick. So it weakens the kick, and that's probably why you are seeing um, a really slow glide out of this stroke. So my advice is first work on your kick so you can glide longer and faster. Um, consider if you're not a swimmer, consider the scissor kick over the breaststroke kick because what's happening here is it's just you're mixing the two together. It appears from my end. All right, let's see what else we got. Um, wow. Okay, got a big screen here. Let's see what we got here. All right, big screen. All right, so we're gonna kick off the wall. Not bad. A little bit. See that bent elbow there? Elbow should be straight over your head. I like this kickoff though. See that? Got a lot of power there off that kick. Little dolphin kick. Not bad. Second dolphin kick, not needed. All right, so we go top arm, bottom arm, kick and glide. Kind of a weird angle of the neck when you come up to breathe. Let's try to keep that head down a little more flat like this versus kind of canted. But at least your hip bottom ear's in the water, so I'll give it to you like you're not popping up too much. It's just you're still at kind of an angle whenever you're breathing. You want to try to be flat and turn. So that top part of that head, take it down a little flatter. That's kind of a nitpicky thing because this is a really good swim here. I like it. It just has a little bit of issues with maybe elbow mobility, shoulder mobility to get in a better glide position. Now you see this. This is a perfect scissor kick. That's why he's actually getting some pretty good distance out of this thing. Um, it's a little slow, however. I'm trying to figure out maybe this is a 25-meter pool or he may be over gliding. It may be that issue. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. Yeah, it's close. Maybe needs to kick a little bit harder to get that glide down. Yeah, I think this is a 50-meter pool, 25-meter pool. So still a little slow, probably in the 9:30 range for your pace, given this 54-yard pool in about a minute. I think the problem is that top arm pull needs to be harder, like a freestyle catch, and notice the recovery. That recovery is like you are just putting on the brakes with that recovery. Look how far your elbows and forearms are away from your body. When you're recovering like this, right? You should be recovering a lot tighter to your body. You can see it. You can definitely see it on this side. See how far your elbows are away? In fact, if you stopped it right right at the beginning of the glide or at the beginning of the recovery, why can't I stop it? Yeah, see all that? Like that elbow needs to be up against the ribs versus way out here. That is swimming with the brakes on, basically. That's what you're doing. Alex had a good question. What's more efficient? Underwater swimming, scissor kick or breaststroke kick? It's whichever one you are good at doing. Because I've seen people who are horrible breaststrokers thinking it is better to do the breaststroke kick with underwater. And then I say, you know what? You have a really good CSS scissor kick. Why don't you just do the scissor kick? Next thing you know, they actually can do an underwater swim because now they're gliding using that scissor kick. I personally still use the scissor kick when I go underwater. It's just a more powerful kick for me. And a lot of times I attribute that to athletic history. So if you grew up running like this, like we all do, you probably have developed your hips perfectly for doing this with a scissor kick. However, if you have some swimming background, you may have learned how to do a breaststroke kick, frog kick. They call it a couple different names. Um, so that may be a better option for you if you have some breaststroke kicking history. Some people just learn how to do it as a kid, and that's what they learned how to do. So whether they swam competitively or not, and it's pretty good. So it really kind of depends on your swimming history background. If you are a non-swimming athlete and just starting to take up swimming, chances are your hips are better developed to do that scissor kick. And that's just me speaking in generalities because I've seen countless people come in here to learn swimming. Most of them are non swimming athletes. Every now and then I'll get a swimming athlete who needs to learn the CSS for technique. It literally takes less than 5 minutes and they're better at it than I am. So, which is a little pisses me off a little bit, but that's all right. I get over it. I'm a non swimming athlete that learned how to swim and coach non swimming athletes specifically. So, all right, let's do another one. Let me turn that volume down. Um, Let me share this with you. All right, so I think we've got another one here with no glide. Top arm, bottom arm, kick. Sorry for the turn. Got to look sideways here. One Mississippi. Yeah, I can't even say a full Mississippi. So as you can see here, he's constantly kicking and pulling. Right? Even he's not even gliding in the lead arm, trail arm position, like the one arm. Like sometimes I see people glide like this, and I'm like, he's gliding just differently than I am. And as long as it's fast, I'll say, yeah, nice job. So this is I think we're at is this only 11 seconds swim video? So okay, so he didn't send me a full video, so I have really no idea how far he's swimming in this. I will tell you this, that it's inefficient for 11 seconds. Let's just say you're doing it in 11 yards. You should probably be able to do 11 yards in 11 seconds in about 2 strokes, maybe 3. So top arm, bottom arm, kick and glide. I like to turn my head a little faster with that top arm pull versus having my face in the water when that top arm pull goes past me. My head turns with that top arm, and then I kick, and then I hold the glide right here, which is the one thing he's neglecting. You can see he doesn't even like pretend to glide. So top arm, bottom arm, kick. Like he like instead of like putting one hand on top of the other, holding that glide there for 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. Like he doesn't even hold it there at all. So that's one way to like really get tired in swimming is do it this way. Now, if you're a superstar VO2 max cardio guy, you might be able to get away with that. But I promise you this, it's going to affect your calisthenics and running afterwards because all these arm pulls, all these kicks, you won't recover from that with the 10-minute break before you start the calisthenics and the run. You're going to recover from that tomorrow. So it will affect the rest of your test if it's this inefficient. That's what I try to teach. I try to teach efficiency so a non swimming athlete can hit all their normal numbers that they would normally hit on land minus the swim and do it the same time with the swim. So that's the key. The key of this is efficiency. So that is, I think that's all I have for CSS critiques. If you haven't seen um, all my CSS critiques, you can go to my Instagram page and also my YouTube short page. You can see that. This is my Instagram page here. Something I put up recently, I just pinned some things here. This is a great one for treading, learning how to do the egg beater. And this is the 50-50 workout post up there with the 50-50 workout right there for you to print off, copy it, and do it. But if you go to the Reels section right here, you will see got a whole bunch of swimming videos of me talking about swimming. Every now and then I'm in there too, yelling at people. Um, some lives in there as well, some fun stuff. But this is mostly CSS critiques. Every now and then there's something else running, picture of my mom in there when I was a kid, things like that. But if you want just solely CSS critiques and look at these for hours, you can go to the TikTok page, same address as my um, Instagram. All right, some reason it's not working. What's going on, TikTok? There we go. So you can see this is nothing but CSS critiques. I probably have a few drown proofing skills in there, a few underwater swims in there, swimming with fins, using CSS. Got the 50-50 workout explained in there. So if you go through this TikTok page, and even if you don't want to download this on your phone, that's fine. As you can see, I'm on my computer and I just go to tiktok.com/at StuSmith50. And you don't need the app if you can't have the app, but you can still see all the content right there. Even has open water stuff in.
There is a Friday morning open water
Good,
swim.
good stuff. Good stuff. All right. More questions. I got a few more. I got a little more time for some questions. What's the best way to pull in the bottom arm on the CSS when you go for air? Should it be tucked under the body straight, sweep out in front, or sweep out to the side? Yeah, I talk about this a lot in my CSS critique videos. Is the way I do it. Um, if you sweep it out in front too far, chances are that's going to rotate you around, and you're going to be looking up at the ceiling when you breathe. You don't want to over rotate. That just adds a dimension into the CSS that you don't need. What I do is more like you know how breaststroke looks, right? Let me get this out of the way. You know how breaststroke looks, right? How you do a breaststroke and come up under like this, right? So grabbing water, shoot it up like that. So the top arm is a freestyle catch, just like you're doing freestyle. That bottom arm is that breaststroke, and they recover together like a breaststroke. So top arm's freestyle, bottom arm's a breaststroke, kick and recover like a breaststroke. And it's an underwater recovery stroke. That is the basics of the CSS, and it works very well. Let's see here. What else we got over here? I guess that's it. All right. So Patricia has a question. Um, in one of your books, nutrition section, you mentioned protein shake. Do you have a protein shake product you recommend, or do I make homemade protein shake from natural ingredients? That's an option. There's so many options for protein shake, but I don't know which is the best option. You can do two different options. I personally like just having the protein powder in there, and you can use whey protein, you can use casein, you can use collagen protein. It's up to you which kind of protein you want to use. I use a little bit of whey and collagen in my shakes, and I typically, since I'm not trying to gain weight, I will use tea in it, like an unsweet tea, or milk versus like ice cream and berries and stuff like that. You can throw all that stuff in there if you want to. I just tend to use protein powder. Sometimes I'll use almond milk and put in some simple greens as well, or athletic greens on top of it too. So you get all your protein, you get all your fruits and veggies. Boom, psh, pound it. It's a good little lower caloric meal replacement, or it's a meal supplement if you do it after a meal. So it kind of depends on what your goals are on how you consume it. If you're trying to gain weight, do it after a meal. If you're trying to lose weight, might make for a good meal replacement and reduce your calories for that time of day. Um, Another thing I've been doing is this one, the Everyday Wellness from True Lean. I have to say, is saving me some money because there are 30 servings in this, and it comes out in this little powder, little turmeric powder, zinc, vitamin C, all that stuff. Kind of a everyday wellness thing is what it's called at True Lean. And normally when I go grocery shopping, I'll buy these in a little Viva shot, which is like this much, costs sometimes $3.99. I usually try to, if I see it at $3.99, I'll wait for it on sale. Sometimes it's $2.99. I'll get it at $2.99. But these are about $1, you know. So maybe $1.20 if you put all the shipping and stuff in. But anyway, saving money with the powder form. So I think that's probably the easiest way to save money on your protein shakes or any of your supplements. Buy the powder form, make your own shakes versus going to Smoothie King or going and buying a muscle milk, because those are, I don't know, $3 or $4, sometimes depending on where you're buying them. Um, so it's kind of up to you where you want to get it. But my advice is yeah, if you're going to take some supplements and either replace meals or supplement meals, I personally like um yeah, what's the blanking on the protein I have upstairs. Um it's a native whey protein. I think a scent brand, native whey protein. Yeah, if you Google search native whey protein powder native whey Ascent ASCENT, you'll see a really good protein powder, and it mixes really well with even a spoon. Shaker definitely works really well with a shaker. Some of those proteins kind of clump up, but the Ascent protein just blends perfectly. I like it. I like the Ascent protein. Is the CSS faster than the breaststroke? Well, if you suck at breaststroke, yes. I will tell you this, my CSS is faster than the breaststroke. However, if I were to have a competitive swimmer swimming the CSS and a competitive swimmer swimming the breaststroke would probably beat them because when you're good at breaststroke, it's powerful. And for a time there, my CSS was faster than my freestyle. Now, my freestyle is faster than my CSS. Thanks, John. Must be from Australia um, or England. Uh, do you prefer a stationary bike or mobile bike for non-impact cardio? Any recommendation for stationary bikes? I have a life cycle bike. Also, have access to an assault bike. Those things are brutal. My life cycle, I can kind of just pedal and put out when I want to. Those assault bikes, they always challenge you to like how many power wattage, how much wattages, how much wattage can you produce and how many calories can you burn. You do the same thing on a life cycle too. I like a 5 minute max effort calorie burn. Like, see how many calories you can burn in 5 minutes. Very tough to do. Um, so yeah, challenge yourself. See how quickly you can burn, 100 calories, right, as a sprint. That's a good little challenge. But I typically use stationary bikes. I do have a regular road bike that I do like to use every now and then. Um, but I will say this, I tell my guys who are preparing for spec ops jobs and things like that, even if they're triathletes, I say, you know, if you're leaving for the Navy in 6 months, it is time to lay off the road bike, right? It's also time to lay off the martial arts and MMA and contact sports, mainly because if you get injured in that window, chances are you're going to lose out on training time, or worse, you're going to be so injured you have to get a surgery. Now you're delayed another 6 months, and it just kind of snowballs from there. Some people get to a point where they're not even eligible for the military anymore because of this injury. And, I've even seen people die because of these injuries, primarily a road bike death. Um, so, you almost have to walk on eggshells a little bit when you're training hard, those last few months of training, just so you don't get injured, because you injure yourself, you're kind of done, or you're delayed to a point where now you're screwed because you're getting there later and you can't train. So, if you don't know either, then the CSS a lot easier to swim. That is a really good point. I agree with that. The CSS, if you're a non-swimming athlete, the CSS is so much easier to teach than the breaststroke. I would say out of all of them, freestyle's probably the easiest to teach of all the strokes. But the CSS is definitely easier to teach than the breaststroke. Very good point. And yes, my CSS is most efficient as well. Oh, well, thank you. A couple of questions. I feel my swim is plateauing around 9:15, 9:30. I hit the 50-50 pretty frequently. Give myself 30 seconds rest. Yeah, stop resting so much, because my goal with that 50-50 is eliminate the rest. As you progress, you should be able to eliminate that rest, meaning you stop after that 50-second CSS and you go, two big breaths, go again, right? Whatever that takes, 10 seconds, maybe. But if you're going over 15 seconds, you're resting too much. So that's going to help you with your conditioning for that 500 more than just doing 50-50s. Now, another option is to do 100 hundreds, right? Double it and see how you do on that, resting less than 15 seconds still. Any tips on breathing while swimming CSS? Have an issue when I feel like I'm over breathing and get tired after 75 to 100 yards. That's a conditioning issue, really. Breathing is a rhythm for sure. So I'll walk you through the rhythm. But if that's not working for you, you just need to get in better swimming shape. In fact, I wrote an article especially for you. It's called, Dude, You're Not in Swimming Shape. Just because I get a lot of questions. There's like 10 questions in this article that people say, and my answer is, dude, you're not in swimming shape. And we use the 50-50 to get in better swimming shape. But the breathing rhythm looks like this. So you should be fully exhaled right here, right? Now you're inhaling during that bottom arm pull. And then you kick and hold that glide, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, through. You can start exhaling here through your nose or mouth, even. It's up to you. And then after that glide, you should be ready to fully exhale right here. inhale right here. So you can start exhaling during the glide and then be fully exhaled after the kick because or no, sorry. You can start exhaling at the kick, exhale during the glide, boom, turn to inhale with that top arm and breathe in with the bottom arm pull. Good question, though. Um, Also, on distance runs, right around 3 miles or so, I feel my feet tend to go numb and feel like pins and needles. Do you have any experience with this? My only guess, and this is the best I can guess, is I've had that problem a few times, and it always came down to just tight shoes or socks, right? Because socks can be really constricting as well. So you don't want super loose socks, but you don't want tight socks either. Yeah, so it could be maybe unlace your shoes a little less, like loosen up your shoes. Um, I've seen this in boots a lot, because they tend to get a little tight around the ankle. Next thing you know, you're preventing you're restricting blood flow as easily. Um, so, yeah, see if that helps. If that doesn't help, I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. I mean, it could be as something as severe as, nerve damage and diabetes, but I don't know. What kind for me use for help health? I'm not sure what you're asking this, Celeste. What kind of supplement? Oh yes, looks like you said protein. What kind of it's up to you. I mean, like I said, I use some collagen based protein. Um and I use whey. I think those are fine. As we age, you may feel a little better with the collagen based protein. It's good for your skin, good for joint health, soft tissue type stuff. You'll notice your fingernails are growing out faster, things like that. Hair grows. So it's a different level of protein, but it's one that we have a lot in our body and we need it. Um, but if you're trying to work on some muscle mass, I'd probably go with some whey protein or maintain muscle mass. Go with some whey protein as well. I like I said, I do both. Hypothetical scenario: if you were in your 20s again with all the knowledge you had, man, I wish. Uh, Especially if I had the knowledge. That would be the only way I would go back. It's not that easy. I only have 1 hour a day to work out. What would your workout regimen look like? Good question. Um, Probably not much different than what I used to do when I was in my teens and 20s. It was kind of a muscle building workout, hypertrophy style, build up muscles. I mean, every teenager and 20-year-old wants bigger muscles. Um, Now, you didn't say what the goal was for, because there was a time in my 20s when my goal was for athletics. And then there was a time in my 20s, my goal was for spec ops training. So that's a different answer to that. If it was for spec ops training, having a history of lifting the way I did, I would go exactly the way I did. I'd just do calisthenics and cardio and try to become a better endurance athlete with muscle stamina. So I had the strength base. I just needed to work on other things. But that is what I did, and I had to if I wanted to go down this road. Um, I literally did not lift weights for about a year. And all I did was calisthenics, run, bike, and swim. So I treated myself like a triathlete with no weights. And it worked pretty well. But that was because I was a powerlifting football player that thought anything over 100 meters was long distance running. Does that make sense? So I had strength, power, speed, and agility. I just had no muscle stamina and endurance in multiple modes: run, ruck, swim. Um, I could handle load bearing, but I couldn't go far with it. All right. So we all come into this journey with a certain set of strengths and weaknesses. And I would say our number one goal at the very beginning of that journey is to figure out what those are. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And let's address them immediately. So they're no longer weaknesses. They can be moderate strengths, even. I'm going on month 3 of 8 hours a day, and my body is starting to give. Not sure what you're talking about. 8 hours a day. 8 hours of sleeping, 8 hours of working out, 8 hours of work and school. Not sure what you're saying. Mostly in the legs. Should I be taking more rest days than my typical Saturday, Sunday numbers? Or to go up? Well, if you're working out for 8 hours a day, that's too much. You know, some people say I work out too much, and I'd work out 2 hours a day, right? But I mix it up and have some transition times and things like that. But yeah, it really depends on what you're talking about, Joey. If you're working out for 8 hours a day, that's just stop. Stop doing it. Any guys you work with at Anne Arundel Community College? Well, we're in Anne Arundel County. Um, I think there's some guys that maybe go to Anne Arundel Community College. We actually go to that YMCA right behind it to go swimming. So typically every week I lose 5 seconds on any given drill. Joey, you're overtraining. When you start seeing negative numbers, I don't know if you saw what I spoke about yesterday about the third, a third, a third, right? A third of your days are going to be great. A third of your days are going to be good, not bad, not great. And a third of your days are going to be horrible and negative results, and you're not feeling well. If that is in balance, that's not bad. You're going to have those days. It's called life. Um, and it might be as something as little as not sleeping well and not eating well the day before, and you have bad day. You eat well, you go to sleep, and you hydrate, and you have a great day. That's why I like to write down everything I do, like everything I eat, how much I drink, any supplements I'm taking, uh, the workout I did that day is already written down, and I do it. Anything I add to that, I write it down. Because here's why that's important. Because now, when I have a day that is horrible, right? I can look back at my last 24 hours and say, oh, I guess that's probably why I didn't eat well enough. I ate at, fast food, or I didn't sleep. I woke up 3 times last night and didn't sleep for 20 minutes at a time, or whatever. So you can usually track it down to what you did the last 24 hours when you have a bad day. Um, but when you have a good day, you want to also be able to track that down and say, okay, here's my formula for a good day. That means I'm eating right, I'm sleeping right, I am working out logically, not like it's a full time job. Um, because let me tell you something, if you're working out a lot, right, you're stressing your body up in this level. And if you're not recovering well, that means eating well, sleeping well, hydrating, electrolytes. And if you can't get that into a balance, you're not going to see positive results. It's like this big seesaw. Like every time you work out harder, you got to work on your recovery, right? Anytime you're stressed out, you got to work on your recovery. Anytime you're on your feet all day and you miss a lot of sleep, you got to work on your recovery. That means you got to eat well and you got to readjust your workout so you're not burning the candle at both ends. That's how training looks. And if you can't balance that, you're not going to see the results that you're trying to do. And more is not better, period. For strict weight loss, what percentage values would you place on diet, exercise, other? Um, Percentage of values. I will tell you this. Exercise does not have to be hard for weight loss. I mean, I have seen people very successful with their weight loss by just walking 30, 40 minutes a day and watching what they eat. So I would say 50-50, watching what you eat by not overeating, maybe taking out processed foods. That's a great place to start and just eat normal food and no sodas, right? No sugary drinks. Just drink water or unsweet tea or something with no sugar in it. That will go probably further than anything that there is in a form of a diet, in the form of workouts. You know, that system works. Now, if you want to add some athletic performance into it, that's kind of where I like to be instead of just walking for health and maintenance. I tend to want to run or swim or, do some calisthenics, lift some weights. It's another great way to burn some calories, build some muscle, build some endurance, all in there. But you also have to address the food intake because there's no longer, especially at our age, Gary, you can't outwork your diet anymore. Like it's just almost impossible, right? Now, if I was working out 8 hours a day, maybe I could outwork my diet to a degree, but I just feel like crap if I did. And I'd really have to be sleeping well. I'd have to eat probably a lot more portions just so I can actually balance out that recovery loss from all that extra calories I'm burning. So, yeah, I think it's, at our age it's is 50-50. It's if I want to lose weight, I can't just work out harder. I have to also address what I'm eating and drinking all day long, right? The 2-hour workout, that's the easy part for me, right? It's the other 22 hours where I have the opportunity to eat more. I eat well, but I can definitely eat more. All right. Joey is coming back and he says, sorry, on the bike now trying to type, but I mean take 5 seconds off my previous time. Thanks for your answers. I still don't know what that means, Joey. Numbers going down. Typically every week I lose 5 seconds on any given drill. See, I don't know if that's a good thing. Are you getting faster with that 5 second loss? Or are you getting slower with a 5 second gain? I'm not sure there's a good answer for what you're doing if you're working out 8 hours a day. What's the biggest mistakes former athletes can make when getting back into fitness after several years break? Oh, great question. I write about this all the time over on military.com. And the biggest mistake is former athletes, let's say you're 40 years old, haven't done anything in 10 years, right? Because after college, you turned 24 after college, let's say, and that was your last college athletic event. However, you picked up a couple of club sports along the way and you played some more athletics for another 3 or 4 years, right? So now you're 40, haven't done anything in 11, 12 years. The last thing you want to do is go back to when you were 27, 28 years old and do those same workouts that you were doing. Chances are you can't, but you're going to try. And then you're going to hurt yourself and you're going to be in pain because you remember you could bench press 225 for 15 reps when you were 25 and you can't get it for one and it's no longer a warm up set, it is now your max 1 rep set. So you got to back it off. So my advice to all people who haven't done anything in a decade or several years is to treat yourself like a beginner, literally. So if you're a runner, instead of running, walk, right? Get on a bike. If you're feeling pretty good and you haven't gained 50 pounds in those 10 years, go for a run. See how that feels, but limit yourself to a mile or 10 minutes max, right? But for most people, I would say, during those 10 years, you're going to gain some weight. Last thing you want to do is put your knees and back, with general, almost like you're running with a backpack now because you're 50 pounds heavier. Think of it that way. Um, that's why I get a lot of people on non impact cardio first or just walking versus the impact forces of running on their feet, shins, knees, lower back, hips. That starts to play on you as well. Um, but yeah, that I think that's the number one rule. Treat yourself like a beginner, and if that mini year off of training is also accompanied by a weight gain, start eating to lose weight again. That just usually typically means smaller portions, lay off processed foods, ultra processed foods, drink more water instead of soda. So yeah, there you go. Let's see what else we got. Stu, is less carbs better for our kind of training? No, I love carbs. Big fan of carbs, especially for energy. Um, if you want to limit your carbs, that's fine if you like to do that. But if you're going to do it, um, eat your carbs before you go work out. That way you won't be so low carbed out that you have to stop working out because you're dizzy, you're lightheaded, and you're going to bonk. And, now you need carbs, just to feel better. So, um, yeah, I think for most Americans, all right, now this is speaking in generalities again, Danny, is we overeat, right? Like our biggest problem in America is not hungry people. Yes, it is a problem, but we have a bigger problem with obesity than we do hunger. So 9 times out of 10, yes, less carbs is going to be your answer for the average American. But less everything is going to be better. Your portion controls are way out of whack. If you're eating two big platefuls of food, that's too much, right? I was telling some guys yesterday, might have been on this show, might have been a different one, that my dinner is on a salad plate and my salad is on a dinner plate. That is when I am really starting to track how I eat every meal and um try to limit my higher calorie dense foods to a smaller portion, and my high fiber vegetables, no crazy dressings on it, type of salad, and fruit on there too, is is how I go into eating when trying to lose weight. Move your body, train your mind every day. Yeah, that's a classic. I like it. Hey, I do need to go. Got a dentist appointment coming up in about 40 minutes. So I got to drive out there to do it. So I appreciate your time. If you guys have videos to send me, want me to critique them, happy to send them to me DM over on Instagram, or you can email me, stu@stewsmith.com. Thanks for sticking around. If I missed your question, you can email me, stu@stewsmith.com. Um, and don't forget, Live 1.5 saves you 15% over there. Got a whole bunch of programs, ebooks, books, new course out there, getting to and through training. Something to consider. 80 minutes of training on there, discussion of how you get to and through various selections. Yeah, doing another one on mental toughness this week. So that is where a lot of my bandwidth is going right now with a long course of mental toughness discussions. So stand by for that one. All right, guys, I got to run. You guys have a good one, and I will chat with you guys next week.